Hi guys, welcome to Lily Wins Creative. So in today's tutorials, I'm going to be showing on how I made this beautiful and smart looking corset top from drafting, cutting and stitching. To all my subscribers, I say thank you all and may God continue to bless you. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification bell icon to notify you of my new videos. If at the end of this video you find my video helpful, please give me a thumbs up and also share. Leave all your questions and comments at the comment section. I will be there to answer all of it. And if you have any style in mind that you want me to produce, please leave it at the comment section. I will attend to it all. Thank you and enjoy the tutorials. So guys, let's get started. So this is my -5 line. From here I'm going to be measuring my bust point, which is 10.5, like this. My under bust, which is 13.5, and then my half length, which is 18. 1 inch extra allowance to it. So on the bust now, on the bust line, I'm going to be marking out my nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple measurement is 4 inch. So I'm going to be adding ½ inch seam allowance to it, making it 4.5. So now I'm going to place my tape on this bust line and I'm marking out 4.5 like this. And I'm also placing my tape on the under bust, marking out 4.5, 4.5, and then here 4.5. So I go ahead to connect this marked point. So now I'm going to be placing my tape on this line here on the under bust, and I'm marking out 1 inch, and I'm doing the same thing to the waist. I'm coming to the waist, placing my tape here, and I'm marking out 1 inch as well. I also come to the top up part here and I place my tape on the same line and I'm measuring out 1 inch. I'm going to be placing my tape on the other side like this on the same line and I'm measuring out 1.5 inch. And I'm going to be placing my tape on the under bust and I'm measuring out this 1.5 inch as well. On the up part here, I'm measuring out 1.5 inch, like so. So now after I'm done with marking out all the points, I'm now going to go ahead to connect this point to this point, this point to this point. So now I have connected it like this, and I'm connecting this one as well. So when I'm done with the connection, I'm now going to connect this point here to this bust point here. That's the nipple measurement. So with a curve, you can do it with a free hand. It's not a big deal. And it has met this point, and I'm now going to meet it to this point now. I'm going to take this point to this point now. I've taken it to meet this point here. So on the other side, I'm going to be doing the same. I'm going to connect this point to this bust point here, and I'm extending it up to this point here. Now that I have cut it out, I'm just going to go ahead to the machine and then sew it like this from the waist up to the neck. This is it. So when I get here, I'll just adjust it like this and continue with my sewing. While I'm sewing, I'm adjusting it to this point. So now that I'm done stitching it by ½ inch like this all together, I'll just go ahead and notch it like this on the under bust, just a little. After notching it, I'll just open up the seam allowance with an iron. So I went ahead to open and flatten up the seam allowance with an iron. I'll just go ahead to insert my measurement on this. So I want to say something. Since it's a corset, so for me, I'm minusing 4 inch for my actual waist measurement. That's 29 minus 4 is 25. I'm now going to go to my measurement on the waist here, and I measure out 25 inch like this. This is 25 inch, and I'll now add 1.5 inch extra allowance to it, making it 7.75 here. This, so let's strike this one, and this is my new waist measurement. On the under bust, I don't want my under bust to grip me so tight because of my ribs, so I'm just going to be minusing 2 from the whole under bust measurement. So that means 31 minus 2 is 29. So 29 by 4 is 7.25. So this is my 29. So to my 29, I'll just be adding 1.5 inch extra allowance like this, making it 8.75. So now I'm striking this one. So now this is new under bust measurement. So on the bust, I'm going to leave my bust the way it is. To measure the bust, I will expand the bust like this, and then I'll place my tape here on the bust line, and I'm measuring out my 37 bust. So this is 37, 9.25. So I'm marking it now, and I'm also going to give it an extra 1.5 inch allowance, just like I did to others. So now I'm now going to be connecting this point now. So to the bust, the bust came like this, but I don't want it to be. I'm going to just, since the bust is kind of inside, I'm not going to go with this one. I'm just going to take my measurement up like this. I'm just going to take my measurement up like this, just to make it have a nice contour. Then I'm now going to measure out what I added to the bust. This is 0.75 inch. This 0.75 inch that I added to this front bust measurement, when I'm drafting the back pattern measurement, I'm now going to, so I'm going to remove it from the back at the bust measurement. I'm going to remove it from back so that by the time I finish my sewing, it's still the same measurement. Now that I'm done inserting my measurement, I'm just going to cut now. I'm now going to place my tape on the bust point measurement here, and I'm now going to take it up by 1 inch. So this is going to be this 1 inch here is going to be the depth of my neck. I'm now going to mark out 0.25 inch from here like this. So after I'm done, I'm now going to use this cup here. So when you're using cup, make sure you use your exact cup measurement. I'm going to use this cup on the inside, while making sure that, let me extend this line here in the inside so that you can see, and then mark it like this. So now the notched part here, is the under bust line. Let me just notch and mark it again. So now I'm going to be placing my cup like this on the inside, and then making sure that the base of this cup is exactly on the under bust, while the tip is at this mark here. You can see. So once you have achieved that, you can now use ball. If you have this kind of ball, you can use it to hold it firmly like this while turning it like this. It's easy for me to mark the borders by feeling it like this. So I will now know the where to mark. So please guys, mark it exactly. Don't give it any allowance yet. So mark it exactly where you feel the border is, the edge is. So this is it. For me, I'm marking it already. So make sure you smoothen it on the other side. Keep marking it. This is where my cup stops here. I can still smoothen this like this, and then trace my cup like this. So on the up part, you can add a little allowance to it. I've drafted out my cup here. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm now going to cut out my cup cover. So watch me as I do it. Just cut it exactly. So I'm starting from the cleavage, and I'm now going like this. So now this is my cup cover. So this is what I'm going to be using to cover this cup here. As you can see, it matches well, just that there's an excess here, which I purposely put because I'm still going to fold it anyway. So I'm now using this fabric to cut out another pattern. So on this part, on this seam here, I'm going to mark it like this so that I don't get confused where to place my cup. To this cup area now, I'm going to be adding 1/2 inch like this to it round. This is for the sewing allowance. By the time I sew it inside, it becomes the same measurement. I'm also adding the same thing here. I'm also extending this, and then I'm adding 1/2 inch here. So this is the old one, and this is a new pattern for what I'm doing. So this one, I don't need this one anymore because I need to cut out another one to get allowance for sewing. So now I'm going to cut out this one. I'm going to extend this thing here. To this my cup cover, I'm going to mark it first before unstitching it. This is my center front, and this is my side front. So make sure you do this first before you unstitch it so that you don't get confused as to which is which. So now that I'm unstitching it now. So once I'm done unstitching it, I'll just go ahead to press it so that it's straightened. So once I'm done, I'm not going to use the center front. I'm not going to use it to cut out another new cup cover. The essence is just to add a seam allowance to it so that I can use the seam allowance to sew. On this part, this is the part I sewed. So this part doesn't need any seam allowance because already the seam allowance is there. So the part I'm going to add the 1/2 inch allowance is on this side and also on the up side, like this. So by the time I get here, I'll just mark it like this and continue with my 1/2 inch. This one, I no need of adding anything to this. So on the other side, I'll do the same thing. I'm also going to add this mark here to indicate where I'm going to sew it so that I don't also get confused. Let me also do it to this part. Now I have cut out the main fabric. I make sure I notch this so that I will know the side to use. This is one of the center front, and this is the side front. I'll just start sewing it from the underbust here. So I'll continue my sewing until it gets here. I'll just go and sew everything. So now I'm done stitching the main fabric, like I said. For the main fabric, I'm going to notch it first, then press it, open up the seam and press it in order to flatten it. I will now turn it over to the other side as well and iron it. So this is how it looks. So to this part here, I will just measure out 2.5 inch from here to here. This is 2.5 inch. I'll go further to place 2.5 inch. I'll place more 2.5 inch. So now this 2.5 inch, I'll just go right ahead to connect it. So now I'm not going to cut this part. Instead, I'm going to place another pattern on it and then sew it and then turn it over like this. So this is how I'm going to be doing it now. Look at it. I'm going to place it flat like this first. Like this. I'll mark it like this, only on the tip. I'll mark it like this. I'll keep marking it like this. Even though it folds, it's okay because it's not straight. So it's normal for it to fold because it's not going to go straight. Since I'll keep marking it as it's folding, I'll keep marking it like this. So now I'm done marking it. So now that I'm done marking the up part, here I measured out from here to here, I measured out 2.5, but on this part I'm going to measure out 3 inch, giving it an extra
1/2 inch allowance to sew it on top here and turn it over. So now I'm going to be measuring 3" here. So I'm going to be taking this 3" round. Now that I'm done marking it, I'm just going to go ahead to. So this is it. So I'll now bring back my cup cover. I will now place it like this on it, so you can see. So just mark it at the center here. I'll trace it on the other one as well, and I'll now mark it, notch it a bit. So now I'm going to go to my machine. I'll turn it over like this. I'm not placing this one outside, I'm placing it inside like this. It's going to cross over to the other side. As you're sewing, you're adjusting the needle and also adjusting the fabric also. So you do the same to the other side down. I have stitched it like this on top the cup cover. I'm just going to notch it so that by the time I fold it over, it relaxes so well. I'm going to notch it. So that's it. It has. So by the time I iron it now, it will now lay well. So first what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to use hemming gum on my cup like this, all over my cup. After I'm done with that, I'm now going to use the steam on the, I'm going to use the steam like this once it's hot. So the steam is melting the gum to stay on the cup. So now it has stick to the cup. I'm going to bring on this one. While you're placing the cup into this cover, into its cover, check the center front and the side front first, so that you know the right place to place the cup. So since this is the center front, my cup is coming like this. This is where I want my cleavage to stop. So now, and remember I added 1/2 inch allowance all round like this. So I'm going to shift it to about 1/2 inch allowance in. And then I'm also going to do the same, making sure that the down part too receive its own 1/2 inch allowance, and every other part receive its own 1/2 inch allowance. So after that, I'm now going to place my ball inside this and hold it firmly like this, and then turn it over and then start pressing it. I will start smoothing it with pressing. I will make sure that the iron is not too hot so that it doesn't burn my fabric. Now that I have covered my cup with the cup cover, and this is the allowance I'm going to use to sew. If the allowance on the cup is too much, you can just reduce it so that it doesn't take too much when you're sewing from here. So just reduce it to exactly 1/2 inch. I'm now going to go ahead to join it to this mark here, this seam allowance to this mark. Then I'll take it up like this and stop here, and I'll also from there take it up like this to the other side. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Now that I've fixed my cup into this, I use the space to fix the cup, and the same thing with the other one. Now that I'm done with that, I'll just go ahead to iron it. Just press it.
So guys, this is it about a corset. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and also comment. In my next tutorials, I'm going to be showing on how to fix a bunny into a corset. Thank you all. See you in my next tutorials. Bye.